Campaign Africa commemorates the 60th anniversary since the formation of the Organization of African Unity.
Making this leap, and where did you study your graphics? And then this leap then to UAE?
So I studied at Vets Tech right before it changed to UJ. So
Right.
This is when, 2000, if not 2001. So I think that's kind of how Nama was able to get into the whole poetry scene, because
Yes.
as a student, I guess you kind of have a lot of free time as well. And the nice thing about the program that we had at Vets Tech UJ, was an internship or learnership program that you did like in your final year. And the company that they placed me in was called HKLM, which was in Bryanston at the time. So yeah, we went, I did my internship around August, I think, and they were impressed with whatever it is I was doing. I remember lots of time spent in the spray booth, fixing up posters and that kind of stuff, not really like proper design work as such, but they were impressed with what I did, and asked if I wanted to come back and work for them the following year. That would have been in 2004, but I wanted to do my BTech at UJ, so they said they'd pay for that final year to get the BTech degree, which was now a blessing, a nice weight off of my mother's shoulders, if I come back and work for them for the following year. So obviously I agreed.
Of course.
So I finished studying in 2006, I think, and went directly to work for them from then on. And then in 2007, they were trying to open up an office in Dubai. They'd organized a few people, actually a couple, to come and start the office this side. One as the managing director and then as a client service. Right. And then they asked a few more people in the studio if they wanted to go. And then another couple decided to go, who was going to be a designer and another client service that side. And then they asked everyone else, and no one wanted to go. I was like, Dubai, and even back then, like a lot of people didn't know about Dubai or the UAE, and now I really didn't know much about it. But I was like, I think I was also up to here with Joburg at that time. So I was like, I raised my hand, and they gave me the opportunity. And I remember the director asking me, because I still had the band back then as well. So he was asking me, I know you're serious about your music, you're also serious about this one, but you'll have to kind of choose, So I think at that stage as well, I was also a little bit up to here with the band as well. So I was like, it's an opportunity. I'll take it. I like design. I like graphic design and all. I'll take that opportunity. So so 2008 January, I arrived, and I've been here ever since. September of 2008 was the financial crisis, and that's when everything got flipped and turned upside down. So with that happening, I think the other blessing is that I was quite junior. I wasn't really costing the company much, but they had hired a few more people who had just joined recently as well. But then by the end of 2008, they had shrunk that team back down to, I think it was about 3 designers, a senior designer, a creative director, and myself. and then the creative director and the senior designer were told to kind of work half days, 3 days a week because of the financial crisis.
Yes.
No one was willing to pay for design at that stage, you know. Eventually, HKLM had to kind of eventually close their offices here, which was in 2010. But by then, I had come across Darian. Darian was the designer that I found up at Dubai, who had also came from HKLM, and his wife was starting JansenHarris, or actually they were both starting JansenHarris, but she was the one who was kind of like kickstarting it off while he was still freelancing. And they needed a designer to support them to start the business. So I felt HKLM is closing, and this would be the perfect opportunity for me to continue working here, you know.
Yes.
And I liked the team. I liked them as well as people. We actually come from the same area in the Eastern Cape. And the funny thing about it as well is that Darian was one of his lecturers in Technicon was the lady who taught me how to draw. So it's very how the world is connected is the funny. Yeah, it's just very funny. From 2010, JansenHarris started, and then it was me and Vicky for the first maybe 3 years, and then Darian joined full time, and then we've been building the company since then. For me to be African, I think, again, as an African, we are kind of the source of, I think, some of the good in this world, you know, when it comes to culture, when it comes to, I'll just, as an artist, for instance, I think a lot of art has its source and its root from Africa. Picasso became who he became because he was influenced by African art, you know, it's those types of things. So I think we have been given the gift to create, and I feel like it's one of our mandates to a certain extent, to proliferate that positive energy into the world, to bring joy, to bring beauty into the world. I think that's kind of my perception of Africans. I think from music, from the literature, from design, exactly. I think that's kind of my idea of African and being an African. I think, again, it's that perception, you know. I think as an African, you should know that wherever you step in, whichever rooms you occupy, you are not representing just yourself, you know, you're representing how people perceive you and your people. So I think you should always put your best foot forward. You should always be also willing to learn, to absorb the best of what's out there as well, so that we can also find our footing in the world as well. I think at this point in time, you always have to kind of step knowing that you're representing not just yourself and whatever you want people to perceive, I think you have to make sure that the next person who's going to come after you, you would have laid a good foundation for them so that whenever there's another African who's stepping into the room, they know that they should expect excellence, they should expect, nothing but the best, to be honest. I think that's kind of our biggest struggle, to make sure that whatever stereotypes that they try to put on us, that those aren't true, you know. So make sure that you're representing your people, where you're coming from, you know.
Right.
And for yourself as well. Yeah, I think it would, again, instill a sense of pride, you know, if it was something that was recognized. I know that we have a lot of public holidays, but I think it's one of those things where either it should also be something that's featured in the schools to some extent, because I think, who are we if we don't know where we're coming from? You know? So I think it should be something that is mandated, I think, just as a source of remembrance and a source of pride as well, that we are more than what we see today, you know. Campaign Africa, channeling wealth to good use.